So I very much enjoy modifying my Toyota Tacoma, of course. I think it's just so fun to make these trucks your own, and I think that's why a lot of you guys check into the channel as well. Now, in my search for Tacoma upgrades, of course, I have ran into a lot of aftermarket accessories. Clearly, if you've watched some of my videos before. But I also, of course, love genuine Toyota accessories and a specific line of them, the TRD ones. Now, if you don't know, TRD is Toyota Racing Development, or basically their racing division, which has a huge history, but for all intents and purposes of this video, they basically manufacture a line of parts and accessories available for the Tacoma. And these are considered to be top of the line. They're genuine OEM parts, of course, made and manufactured by Toyota and designed with quality and correct fitment in mind. So today, I thought it'd be fun to make a video showing you guys some of the TRD parts I've installed on my own Tacoma and basically compare them to the originals, still OEM factory parts, mind you. And I'll be discussing if I think doing the TRD upgrade is worth it. Now, what the heck does worth it even mean? Because that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Well, I think cost benefit is one thing. In every single case, I think the TRD part compared to their OEM counterpart is more expensive. So is that price difference actually worth it for what you get? And then of course, there's other things like ease of install. You guys know I'm a big DIYer, so I wanna know how easy or DIY friendly some of these parts are. And then of course, the most important thing, the quality of these TRD parts. Are they as advertised? Again, I've had a lot of these parts on my truck and still currently do. What's my experience with that like? Are they really a lot better than just the regular parts? Do they last longer than the standard OEM part? Let's go find all of that out in this video. Hey guys, so I wanted to take a quick minute away from this video just to announce a giveaway that I'm going to be hosting. It's been a while since I've done one, but I'm really excited for this one because I think this is seriously the best one yet. And I have to give a huge thank you to my friends at Techron, as well as a bunch of other businesses I've been working with on the back end to make this giveaway possible and sponsor some prizes. And basically, we're gonna be giving away 5 of these assorted prize boxes. And here are some cool things you could win in your box. So if you saw a prize you liked or are interested in entering the giveaway, I wanted to make this as easy for you guys as possible. So all you're gonna have to do is go to the description box down below. There's going to be a link to a Google form with some basic information that you're gonna fill out. That information is going to include your YouTube handle, email so that I can contact you if you're a winner, as well as what vehicle you drive and some prize preferences. Submitting that form will give you 1 entry into the giveaway contest, but if you want an extra entry, you can optionally follow Chevron Techron on Instagram. At the end of this giveaway, I'm going to pick 5 random winners to send these prize boxes to. And all the rules and dates and everything for the giveaway are going to be in the description box down below. I really hope you guys like this giveaway if you're interested, because you guys totally deserve the opportunity to win some cool free prizes, especially some of my favorites as you saw. So good luck to all who enter. Thank you so much, and now back to the video. There are going to be several TRD products I'm not going to talk about, like the TRD shift knob, the TRD radiator cap, because things like these I think are more stylistic choices and preferences, so there's not too much to go off of besides that for this video. And I did highly consider talking about the TRD Pro suspension, and while I've installed it on Tacomas here on the channel before, I don't drive on it often enough for me to really form an opinion. Plus my own Tacoma hasn't even been on the OEM suspension for a long time, so if you guys are interested in suspension, maybe that could be a whole separate video. But today we're going to talk about the TRD skid plate, the TRD oil filter, the TRD exhaust and cold air intake, and one version of TRD wheels. So if you get a TRD off-road Tacoma like the one I have behind me, this is the stock front skid plate, and I'm not sure of the exact gauge or thickness, but it is made out of steel. It's super lightweight, super easy to pick up, but then this is the TRD one, and you can't even see all of it on screen. Now this one is made out of 1/4 inch thick aluminum. It is much heavier than the stock TRD off-road skid plate. I mean, every time I put this thing on my own truck, I have to use a jack because it is quite heavy, and as you can see, it's a different shape, it's larger. But that's because it covers more, it offers more protection. I would say too, it alters the appearance of the truck quite a bit because it stands out. This is sort of a theme with TRD parts. They're definitely designed with aesthetic in mind as well, and I could see why people would get this just for the appearance alone. So I personally got this TRD skid plate, this exact one, pretty much when I got my truck brand new. So this thing is basically almost 5 years old now, meaning I never really utilized, this is not my exact skid plate by the way, this is a buddy of mine who also has a TRD off-road. But I basically never really got to stress test or utilize this stock skid plate on my truck. It was always just this TRD one. So I don't have much experience specifically with how this performs, but I have had a couple friends who have gone wheeling pretty hard with these things and actually crumpled them. Again, I don't have personal experience, and this one definitely went through some light off-roading. It's got a little bit of cosmetic damage, but this TRD one is significantly better at taking hits. Mine has definitely done its job when I've been on the trails, and what I really like to see when putting these two side by side is that this extra coverage that I'm getting here that I don't get with the stock OEM TRD off-road skid plate, I am getting use out of, so this one is totally worth it for me. And even this one that went through some light off-roading, you could see that the scratches like would continue on, but there's just nothing here. So with this one, you guys, I am picking the TRD version all day, every day, pretty easy choice for me. Not only does it look better in my opinion, but it also just does its job better. And of course, it's got much better coverage than this one. I'm having a hard time thinking of any argument for this non-TRD skid version, except for the fact that of course the TRD skid is going to be much more expensive. I think it sits at around $400. So some people might be turned off by that. That's pretty expensive for a front skid plate. There are a lot of aftermarket options that are a lot more affordable that also offer great protection. And also, if you just don't think you're gonna off-road your truck or need a front skid plate, then maybe there's no reason to change. But depending on what you do with your truck, $400 for this thing can be cheap insurance. I don't know if that's just me doing girl math, but that's the way I see it. So I didn't even know TRD oil filters were really a thing until I was on the TRD Parts website one time and I came across these and I was so curious I had to try them out. So I've actually bought a few for my own truck and used them during some of my oil changes. But the comparable OEM filter is this one. So let's open up both of these boxes and compare. So first up, you get this plastic piece, and this is meant to drain excess oil from the oil filter. Although I absolutely hate using these things, check out some of my oil change videos if you want to see a better tool I used from Motivix Tools that gets the job done a lot more cleanly. So you've got your filter here, of course, made out of a synthetic glass polymer medium actually, and it's got these zinc plated end caps with these red high temperature silicone gaskets. And of course you can't forget your O-rings. These are very high quality Viton ones. I think that's how that's pronounced. On the other hand, here is the non-TRD, but still, of course, Toyota genuine part filter. So you get that same plastic tool, your 2 O-rings, and this paper filter. Now, let's take a step back for a second. What is an oil filter even for? Well, at a basic level, it's obviously meant to keep debris out of your engine oil. You see, you can get these little particles that wear on the surfaces of your engine, which can be very, very bad, of course. So your oil filter is supposed to help prevent that. Now, back to these two, you guys know I'm definitely not a mechanic, but just by visual inspection, I think anyone can tell that the build quality on this TRD one is a lot beefier. It's got a lot more things to it, especially when you're looking at this compared to just paper. And for this video, I tried to think of a lot of different ways to potentially test the efficacy of both of these filters performance-wise, see how they compare by maybe doing things like an oil analysis. One of my favorite channels here on YouTube is Project Farm, and I've seen when he's tested gaskets before, he's got like this hardness tool, or he just uses his calipers and measures the thickness before and after use. But it's a little bit difficult to give an apples-to-apples comparison because there are so many variables, like what oil you use, how you drive it. And ultimately, here's where I think it's hard to see differences. Using the synthetic oil, the Toyota manual and every Toyota tech will tell you that you can go 10,000 miles with these Tacomas before changing your oil. That's what's written down in the service manual. That's how they do it for Toyota Care. It's only every 10,000 miles. But anyways, I like to change my oil every 5,000 miles. I do use the same oil in my engine every time, Haviland Pro RS 0W20, but sometimes I'm doing a lot of off-roading and sometimes I'm just driving on the streets a lot. And when I change my oil, I change the filter every 5,000 miles as well. And I just don't know if that's a long enough stretch of time to look at the two differences between these oil filters. Again, I am not a mechanic. I'm just a DIYer here in my garage doing my own thing. So I'm just sharing my honest experience. But when I change my oil, the color of my oil looks the same with both of these filters. It's not darker with the paper one and lighter with the TRD one. It's pretty much just dark every time I change it. With both filters, I don't see anything abnormal in the oil, like metal shavings or suspicious debris or anything. So just again, from what I can tell myself, both of these oil filters perform just fine. But regardless, I'm changing it often, and my point is that if I were to go longer, maybe even longer than 10,000 miles, 15, 20,000 miles, which would be really, really bad for not changing the oil, my best educated guess would be that this TRD oil filter would probably stand the test of time better than this paper one. I would bet more money on this one. But with such a disposable product, I feel like for me, the papers are just fine. They do the job. I didn't even mention price yet, but you're looking at about $16 versus $8. A pretty big difference if you ask me, since you're changing this every couple of months or so. So if you change your oil often anyways, which you should, just again, from my own personal experience, there is nothing quantitative about this. It's all kind of qualitative. Go with the papers. Even though I will admit these ones do look cooler. Whatever you do though, and I'm only saying this because I always forget, pick up a set of these drain plug gaskets. Neither of the kits come with them, but you'll want to have these when you change your oil as well. So I know the intake and exhaust are kind of two different things, but obviously they work together as a unit, so we'll kind of talk about them together. But just know, if you're looking at a TRD upgrade, you can get the TRD cold air intake system separately from the TRD exhaust. A while back, a couple of years ago, I did do the upgrade to the TRD cold air intake. It is pretty easy to install. It maybe takes 30 minutes to an hour to do, but essentially you just get a new assembly for the most part, and it looks pretty cool. It's got red accents and the TRD logo, of course, and my favorite thing, a washable TRD filter. Now this is a reusable filter with a very different medium. It's not the paper one like it is with the regular OEM air intake, and it's supposed to help maximize air into the engine and obviously do a good job of protecting it. Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret with the TRD cold air intake system if you didn't know. From having installed this myself, I think, this is a big I think by the way, if you just get the TRD reusable filter I have been talking about, plus the intake flow accelerator piece, you might be able to get the same, if not pretty similar performance as if you got the entire TRD kit. This is because a lot of pieces are reused for the Tacoma one, like the lower airbox is reused. The upper airbox you do replace, again, it's that nice TRD one, but I'm not sure if that adds to performance in any way. Same with a lot of the other couplers, they are red, maybe they do add a little bit to performance. You guys let me know in the comments. But yeah, at least those two parts seem to be the two most distinct or different pieces. But what sort of performance am I talking about over here? Well, I really urge you to watch the video I made a couple of years ago when I first installed this system, because I have some of my first impressions. But now that I've had it on my truck for a while, just my own experience, and again, qualitatively speaking here, you guys, there is a slight increase in throttle response, and also it seems like the noise is a little bit louder at higher RPMs. But Toyota claims to have dyno tested this system, and you're supposed to get more horsepower and also more acceleration. But I think cold air intake systems really need to be paired with specifically tuned exhaust systems like the TRD exhaust to maximize that power output and experience all the benefits. And of course, you can really hear the difference too. Here is a clip of a cold start with a Tacoma that has not only the TRD cold air intake system, but also the TRD exhaust system. Compare that to my TRD off-road, which has the cold air intake system, but the standard stock exhaust. The former with the TRD exhaust sounds deeper, more resonant, and you can definitely hear it when you drive. And it's nice because it's not overtly loud, but is certainly there. So with all that being said, again, I don't specifically have any power or torque figures, but I do trust what Toyota puts out there about these two systems, so I would recommend them, especially pairing them together. The cold air intake system comes in at around $400, and with the TRD exhaust, you're looking at $980. Perhaps that isn't worth it for some people, but others will see a lot of value. If that is what you're looking for and that's what you're willing to pay, I do see a lot of merit to adding these two TRD systems or upgrading these two systems on your Tacoma. Okay, so the last TRD part we're going to talk about in this video are these TRD wheels, of course. And unfortunately, I do not have the original wheels that came on my truck from the factory here for comparison for this video, because right now I am on Method 706 B grip wheel, an aftermarket one, of course. But if you guys have been longtime viewers of the channel, I have ran this TRD one for quite some time. Now there's several variations of TRD wheels in general, and I'm cheating a little bit in this video because this one actually is not the one that originally came on the TRD Pro Tacomas. These came on the TRD Pro 4Runners. But to be fair, I do see these on Tacomas all the time too. Anyways, they're a cast aluminum. They are super, super light. I know a lot of people like forged wheels, but I think for 99% of the people out there, including myself, cast aluminum is plenty strong and durable. These are 17 by 7 inches with a positive 4mm offset. Other styles of TRD wheels you might find are also in like 16 inches and 18 inches. So these aren't by any means the dimensions of all of them. I don't have too much to say more about these wheels because I think a lot of this here is going to be preference in terms of appearance. That's a big reason why a lot of people get wheels. And again, I unfortunately don't have the original stock wheels that came on this truck to compare them to, but I think one of the biggest differences with this wheel specifically, and a benefit I really liked when I had them on my truck, was the offset. So I'm pretty sure those original stock wheels were a positive 25mm offset. So with these ones being positive 4 instead, they actually cause the wheel and tire to stick out more towards the street, giving my truck a slightly more aggressive look. But it was nice that it wasn't so much that it interfered with tire fitment in any way or tire rubbing. So yeah, when I had these on my truck, I think they were fantastic for that reason. I certainly think they look better than the OEM ones, but again, this is just my own personal preference. I like that they look nice, but they're not super flashy. That's what I really like in general, just about any OEM parts. The TRD branding matches my truck too. So that's the original reason I went with these. But check out some of my videos about when I installed my Method 706 wheels to see why I went aftermarket if you're curious. And it's more than just appearance. There are some benefits to my methods that these TRD wheels did not have. So overall, based on parts we talked about, my experience upgrading to the TRD versions for the skid plate, cold air intake, and exhaust are worth the upgrade. The wheels are nice too, but that's more of a personal preference, I think. And you guys know which filter I prefer since they're so dispensable anyways. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what TRD parts you have on your truck, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!